I'm Caroline Barker, and with me in the studio, 5 Live boxing commentator Mike Costello and writer and broadcaster Steve Bunce. Froch Groves 2 might not be the only super fight set to take place over the next few months. Amir Khan against Floyd Mayweather has reportedly been penciled in for May the 3rd. You wanted that big month of boxing, Mike. Looks like you've got it.
Well, we're not so sure about Mayweather against Khan just yet. I mean, last weekend or just beforehand, Mayweather put out a message on Twitter asking his fans to tell him who he should fight next. Should it be Amir Khan, which has been long rumoured way back into October of last year, or should it be Marcos Maidana, who Khan beat back in 2010, but who himself had a really impressive win against Adrian Broner more recently? Now, 35,000 people or so responded to that. 60% of them said they wanted to see Mayweather take on Amir Khan. But there is still no confirmation, no announcement, and the longer it goes without an announcement, so doubts grow about Khan's chances of getting that fight. And just as a guide, Mayweather fought on the exact same weekend last year in Las Vegas against Robert Guerrero. He announced that fight on around the 19th or 20th of February. So we're looking at perhaps next week for an announcement one way or the other. It has to come very soon because of the need to push for the pay-per-view sales and for the two fighters to get into a serious training camp.
It's gone on an age, hasn't it, Steve?
It's gone on an age, and this fight, I'm convinced this fight was made in December. I'm convinced it was nailed, sealed, contracts were being looked at by both parties. I'm as good as 100% convinced now that this fight is not going to happen. I've been talking to some people in America in the last 2 hours, last 90 minutes, and I'm absolutely convinced that Amir Khan will not fight Floyd Mayweather on the 3rd of May at the MGM, irrespective of what Floyd Mayweather managed to concoct with his poll. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he is going to fight. I think Mayweather's going to fight Maidana, but I think there's a twist, Mike. There's a lovely twist. I think Amir Khan is going to be offered a fight with the previously mentioned Adrian Broner, who's flashy and brash. He's only lost one fight. That was to Maidana. And I think that's going to be on the undercard. And I think that's going to work as a taster and horse's duver, as we like to call it down in South London, to Mayweather fighting, assuming he beats Maidana, fighting Khan in November. I don't think, I'm almost 100% certain, Caroline, that Amir Khan will not get his opportunity against Mayweather in May. I don't like to say that, and I wish it was him, but I'm convinced it's not going to be him.
Well, let's get some thoughts from New York then. We're joined by former 2-weight world champion Paulie Malignaggi, who's won titles at both light welterweight, and also fought Amir Khan, importantly, in 2010. Hi, Paulie.
Hey, guys. What's up? How are you?
Very well, thank you. What about you? Is this going to happen?
There's a lot of buzz going back and forth here in the States, but I'm hearing rumors through the grapevine that it's going to be Marcos Maidana that gets the shot and not Amir Khan. I don't think that completely eliminates Amir, and you never know, Amir could get a shot later on, but from what I'm hearing, just the rumors and things, I'm hearing it's Maidana in May.
What do they make of this in America, all that we've gone through with this vote, with this poll? It's been a bit confusing for a lot of fans that just want to figure out what's going on with the schedule. But, the domineering opinion here has been that, Maidana had the big win over Broner, and that kind of gained him a lot of momentum. Going into the Broner fight, nobody thought Maidana was going to win for the most part. So I think he kind of entered his name into the sweepstakes, into the Mayweather sweepstakes with that big win, because if that upset doesn't happen, really, there's nobody standing in Amir Khan's way to get the Floyd Mayweather fight. Then Maidana pulls off the upset against Broner, and suddenly his name was in the mix.
With that in mind, Paulie, do you think Khan made a mistake by not fighting in December, whoever it was against, and not keeping his name out there?
And with hindsight being 2020, yes, of course. But before that decision was made, no one would have ever thought that his place in the Mayweather fight would be at risk.
Sure.
So when you have such a big fight on the horizon, you're probably better off not taking a risk and getting injured or possibly getting yourself beat by another fighter. So you take all that into consideration. You say, you know what, I'll just sit back and wait. Here's my thing. Again, with hindsight being 2020, here's my opinion, though. Amir had not been looking so great recently. Mm-hmm. It would have probably been better if he could have got a solid win where he looked good
and that really would have gave him the momentum to go into the Mayweather fight and have the major American public feel like he deserved it. Not that he doesn't deserve it now. He's got some solid wins. He actually has a head-to-head win over Maidana. So, that should go. That really speaks a lot, speaks volumes. But it would have been. I think with hindsight being 20/20, obviously looking back, it would probably have been better if he would have got a solid win in December. A win where people would say, oh, you know what, this guy has the momentum in his way. He's going into the Mayweather fight on some solid momentum instead of, the Julio Diaz fight where he hadn't really looked terrific. And that's kind of people's lasting image of him.
Paulie, let me ask you this. I'd heard the same thing as you, that Maidana's the man that's won the sweepstakes and he'll walk away with $10 or $8 or $9 million for fighting Mayweather. But then I also heard, as a sweetener on the same bill, on the same night, in the same MGM ring, that Amir Khan will get to fight, but possibly against Adrian Broner. What's your thoughts on that? And had you heard the same rumour? Hey, that's what I heard, Paulie.
I didn't hear anything, but I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And honestly, I don't think Adrian can beat Amir Khan. I think Adrian is way too flat-footed, and if Amir is Amir, with that in-and-out style that he has and that busy, fast-hand style, I really think Adrian gets left in where he's standing every single chance Amir gets to tag him up. So, whether Amir lands cleanly or not for most of the fight, or he doesn't, I don't see Adrian being able to get off a lot of punches against a guy like Amir with that style. I haven't heard of that, though, but I think it would be a great co-feature. I think it would be a great co-main event. So, it would generate a lot of buzz, a lot of demand, and it's a chance for Amir to kind of really make a big statement to get his Floyd Mayweather fight in the fall, should Floyd beat Maidana.
What about Floyd Mayweather then, Paulie? Is he good for boxing, and what sort of hole will he leave in this sport when he eventually retires?
It's really up to public opinion. I think the guy has been undefeated his whole career, so the demands to want to see him get beat is so much at this point. Most of the public and the critics want to see him get beat so badly that it's to the point where they just invent things and invent stories, in my opinion. I think the guy's taking on the guys he's supposed to take on. If he gets beat, he gets beat. If not, he doesn't. But really, I don't think there's much of a void left to. I don't think there's much of a void being left. I think he's doing what he's supposed to do. I think people just let their judgment cloud them. Their judgment get clouded by the fact that they want to see him get beat. But in reality, who is he going to fight?
And what is he like, Paulie, away from all the glitz and the glamour of boxing?
Anytime a grown man is worth over $100 million from his own two fists, from having achieved that, from knowing how to fight, which is also an egomaniacal thing for a man to know how to fight, and he's worth over $100 million because he knows how to fight. I think any man would have a chip on their shoulder, but in reality, he knows how to turn it on and off, and I think that's very important. I think he's learned how to turn it on and off through the years, and he's matured and grown. And people look at the negativity, but there's also a lot of positives about Floyd Mayweather. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad. And I guess if people want to judge, they're going to make their own opinion of what to make of that.
Paulie, thank you for your insight. Lovely to have you on 5 Live Boxing as well, Paulie Malignaggi.
Cheers, Paulie.
Mike, Steve, Mayweather, at the moment he's great because he's great headlines, isn't he? And that money that we've spoken about as well. Someone ripe, though, for the picking. Is it time that he's kind of knocked off his perch?
Well, the problem Mayweather has after coming off his fight last time against Sal Alvarez, Canelo as he's known, is that against Maidana, it will be seen as a dip in terms of the level of the opponent. And having created this huge aura around himself over the first 2 fights, he's into a 6-fight contract with Showtime Television, which should take him all the way to September of 2015, at which point he says he'll retire. And at the end of that, he should be at least $200 million richer, well on the way to that. But the problem he's got throughout the rest of this contract, and there are still 4 fights left, is finding the viable opponents that really will make for those huge pay-per-view nights. there is a danger that at the moment he's too good for his own good, because somebody like Marcos Maidana is absolutely made for a Floyd Mayweather. If you could if you could build and mould a fighter that suited Floyd Mayweather, you'd present him with Maidana. With Khan, there were some faint murmurings that his speed might give Mayweather some problems, including from Ricky Hatton, who shared the ring with Mayweather and was convinced that if Khan could really get the jab working with some momentum and speed, that he might give Mayweather some problems. But Maidana's a very different type of fighter, but he has that current form and that current win against a big name who also happens to be in the Mayweather stable. Yeah,
it's the current form. It's the win late last year that's got him the fight. But the reality is, and people will see when they buy into it in America, the pay-per-view in America, Caroline, is $70, $70. It's not cheap. There'll be a big dip in the pay-per-view this time round, and I think they'll regret, the people that put it together, that they chose Amir Khan. He's the natural one, and I think, Mike, before the end of the contract, which ends, you say, a year this September, I think there will be at least one freak fight. And what I mean by that is, a guy will come down from a lower weight, and Floyd might gain
from
4 pounds. Yeah, from a heavier weight, so from light middleweight or middleweight. I think someone's going to have to come down, drain themselves for the money. It'll be worth it, because I can't see him fighting even a Maidana and a Khan and a Thurman and a Sean Porter, guys that we'd be on air till 10 for me to explain their background to.
So you're talking about Gennady Golovkin?
I'm talking about Golovkin. The middleweight is a young middleweight guy who's absolutely untouchable, unbeatable. Everyone loves him. He's the natural one. He'll lose 5 pounds and Floyd will gain 3 or 4 pounds, and that's a super fight in May next year, assuming, again, take another hour to explain it, Manny Pacquiao is off the horizon or on the horizon. And boy, oh boy, we've only done about 74 shows about Manny Pacquiao. Should we do another one?
Oh, such a complicated web we weave.